Good evening. Today is Tuesday, August the 18th, 2026, and the time is 5 p.m. I will now call to order the meeting of the Victorville City Council and the same council sitting as the Victorville Library Board of Trustees, the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the Redevelopment Agency, the city as a housing asset successor, Joint Powers Finance Authority, and the Victorville Water District. Madam Clerk, will you kindly call the roll?
Councilmember Godin?
Here.
Councilmember Irving?
Here.
Councilmember Mora?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Here.
Mayor Becerra?
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much. This time we'll go to public comments.
Madam Mayor, there are no requests to speak this evening.
Thank you very much. Declaration of closed session items by our city attorney, Mr. DeBernowski.
Thank you, Mayor Becerra. We have one item this evening. It is anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D4, and it pertains to one potential case as to whether or not the city is interested in initiating litigation. To the extent there's reportable action, we will report it either at the conclusion of the closed session or immediately prior to the commencement of the 6 o'clock session.
Thank you very much, sir. The time is 5:01 and we are now recessed to closed session. Open session will resume at 6 p.m.
computer was giving me a hard time. Oh, he's already in. Okay. I think I got hung up with some processes or something. It eventually loaded.
Testing, testing.
it's up and running, it's smooth sailing. Yeah, they're gonna make you like move the podium like out of view. Yeah. Well, actually.
Deactivate this. It's currently on.
good, thanks. Good to know. Thank you so much. You're very welcome.
I am. I'm trying to. It's hard. It's not easy.
Vacation time, right? Are you back yet? Or?
Oh, I've been back for 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
I have 9 students and all of them have ADHD. So I'm tired.
Wow.
Yes.
2 weeks already? That's gonna be like
Actually, this is actually week 3. We went back the first week of August.
That's nuts.
Yes.
You have medications for that stuff you can give to the kids, right?
But I don't give it to them. Yes, that's true.
My wife was dealing with
Our jackets are the same. I knew what she was saying. Ready? Jen, ready? Yes. Welcome, everyone, and good evening. Today is Tuesday, August 18th, 2026, and the time is 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the following will come to order. The Victorville City Council and the same council sitting as the Victorville Library Board of Trustees, the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, successor agency to the redevelopment agency, the city as a housing asset successor, the Joint Powers Finance Authority, and the Victorville Water District. Madam Clerk, will you kindly call the roll?
Councilmember Godam.
Here.
Councilmember Irving.
Here.
Councilmember Mora.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman.
Here.
Mayor Becerra.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much, ma'am. At this time, closed session announcements by our city attorney, Mr. Dubernowski.
Thank you, Mayor Becerra. We had one item this evening. It was anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D4, whether or not the city wanted to initiate litigation. At this point, there is no reportable action with respect to that item.
Thank you, sir. If you'd please stand for our invocation, our Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation tonight would be led by Pastor Dane Davis with Impact Christian Church, and our pledge will be led by Captain Jerry Davenport.
Thank you, Mayor Becerra. It is really good to be with you tonight, especially good because a half hour ago I was sitting in a dentist chair. So it reminds me that sometimes we come to a city council meeting and we might think of 1,000 other places we'd rather be, but we are right where we need to be. And God has placed us here, and there are so many people who are so much worse off. We have been more blessed than we can even imagine. One verse for you tonight. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. I'm glad he wasn't talking about dentist chairs when he wrote that. He's talking about serving him right where we are. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this night, and we probably don't thank you enough for the privilege of being a part of this city of Victorville. Father, we pray that you would be with the city council tonight, oh God. It's going to be a busy agenda, a busy evening, oh God. I thank you that 2 weeks ago they were able to be a part of the National Night Out event here in Victorville. And Lord, so there's a lot of ground to cover. I pray that you would be with them. We pray for unity and wisdom in the decision making. Lord, we pray that level heads would prevail. And we pray, oh God, that all that we say and all that we do would be a sweet offering to you tonight. This is our spiritual act of worship, to offer ourselves to be used by you. I pray for everyone who has public comment, Lord, that they would guard their words and speak, Lord, with respect, but also with truth. And we once again just thank you for the privilege of being able to live, to work, and even to play in this great city of Victorville. We lift it up to you and pray that it would bring you honor and glory in Jesus' name.
Amen. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now move on to special presentations. Our presentation tonight will be presentation of new hires and promotions to the city council. Mr. Metzger, will you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Certainly excited to be able to call up Ms. Heather Barber and Sandra Bostic this evening. This is something we do quarterly, where it's an opportunity for us as executives and leaders of the organization to celebrate the milestones of our employees. As you know, there's about 570 employees citywide covering multiple disciplines. So our HR department is fairly busy trying to keep up with all the needs of the departments. But we're here to celebrate and recognize the employees for the milestones of being newly hired with the city, and also those that have been recently promoted with the city. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Barber and Ms. Bostic.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. We are here this evening to recognize our new hires and promotions for the months of April, May, and June. First, we would like to recognize the new members of our city team. They will each be called up to stand in front of the dais, presented with a pin, and then I would like to invite all of the council members down to take a photo with the newest members of the City of Victorville team. So starting off this evening, we have Alfonso Figueroa, Secretary with Human Resources. We have George Dumapit, Windows Server Administrator with Information Technology. We have Luis Andres Rosales, Technology Coordinator with Information Technology. Rafael Cruz, GIS Technician, Information Technology. Juan Padilla, Technology Technician, Information Technology. Pearl Macias, Payroll Technician, Finance. Michael Escalara, Maintenance Worker with Community Services. Christopher Campos, Public Works Inspector, Engineering. And our last new hire tonight, Melissa Williams, Administrative Analyst with City Manager. And if you would like to come down for a photo. Me? Walk up there. Get him all nervous. Thank you. One more, yeah. Thank you. Now we're going to recognize our promoted employees. I will be calling each of them up to stand in front of the dais, and at the end of the presentation, we will have you all take a photo again. We have a lot of promotions. So, Victor Palacios, Traffic Signal Maintenance Technician with Public Works. I said that wrong, didn't I? Steven Gutierrez, Senior Airport Maintenance Worker with the airport. Stop. Ricardo Gutierrez Sanchez, Senior Maintenance Worker with Public Works. Matthew Highland, GIS Manager with Information Technology. Seth Gemmel, Senior Maintenance Lead Worker, Community Services. Alex Garcia, Finance Analyst with Finance. He's probably still hard at work. Alejandra Garcia, Water Efficiency Lead Specialist with Public Works Water. Katie McDaniel, Administrative Secretary with Finance. Jose Villacorta, Secretary with Public Works Water. Levi Bybee, Senior Wastewater Collections Worker with Public Works. And our last promotion for the evening, Jason Oliver, Wastewater Collections Senior Equipment Operator with Public Works. Poor Levi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll move on to our 2026 fireworks enforcement presentation. Mr. Metzler, would you like to bring up this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This presentation is similar to the presentation we've been doing for the last few years around this time, and it's an opportunity for us to share with you how the 4th of July enforcement effort went. And as you know, we typically start right around Memorial Day weekend and then run through July 4th with concentrated enforcement activities. And for us, it's an all hands on deck kind of situation. I think the thing that we're proudest the most of beyond the results is the number of individuals and the number of teams from different departments that come together to participate in this effort and make it a success. So we do have a presentation led by your code enforcement official, Mr. George Durand, and he'll be joined by your fire chief, Mr. Bobby Clemmer.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council members. Thank you for allowing us to share our report, our annual report for fireworks this year. I think you'll find it to be in very good news, and you'll find a lot of the efforts, as the City Manager indicated, are stressed in this report. We'll cover, just real quickly, we'll cover program preparation, public outreach efforts, resident fireworks reports, which are notably a lot lower this year, 4th of July compliance program efforts, our confiscated fireworks, and a brief update from the fire department. As we've done every year, our preparation is key for any project, including fireworks. And this is really an all hands on deck. Very proud of working alongside all the departments that are listed here. Our public works folks, of course, who help us mobilize our electronic reader boards. Our IT folks who help us prepare the reports for the residents to make sure that it is working correctly and efficient. Our business license folks who identify our rental property owners. It's a very important part of our noticing efforts to ensure that rental property owners are aware that they could stand on getting fined if in fact their tenants are creating some problems. And the city attorney's office, of course, who help us with any prosecutorial issues that may come about or administrative appeals that may be challenged in court. On the field side, of course, our police department helps us quite a bit with ensuring that we, in our interactions, are safe and effective. Or, of course, our code compliance team who will work many of the patrols proactively. Our animal services team who primarily on the 4th of July, as understandably, are inundated with some of the reports for loose dogs. And our fire prevention folks, of course, ready to respond to fires. Program enhancements. We selected 5 locations for electronic reader board postings. These are high visibility areas, high traffic areas, and we use that to our advantage when it comes to appeals, particularly to appeals who have potentially have gone to the Superior Court level beyond the administrative appeal, stressing that notice has been provided. Most of our residents, those that are cited, may claim that they didn't know, and these reader boards are essential to supporting our actions. We continued with our If You Light It, We'll Ride It campaign marketing, and we updated our reporting mechanisms to now be managed through the Victorville Now app. It's just 2 questions that it asks. It asks if they saw the aerial fireworks, actually what types of fireworks they saw, aerial or underground, and whether they witnessed the occurrence. This year we capitalized on short 5-second commercials and continued with citywide internet advertising, which I'll get into in just a bit. Our fines remained the same, $1,000 for the first fine and progressing to $3,000 for a maximum fine with an option to issue a notice to appear, a misdemeanor charge, should the officer find it necessary to do so. Public outreach, these are our notices that went out to both the residents in blue and the rental property owners in red. Notably this year, we did find a lot of engagement from rental property owners letting us know that they've spoken to their tenants. Not necessary, but we certainly appreciated the feedback and acknowledgement to our letters. Again, our proactive outreach included the electronic reader boards as pictured. 5 of those were mobilized. And as I indicated, it supports our administrative citation actions, and the officers regularly stress that in their reports if the citations are appealed. We continued with our door hangers as pictured. It allows us to deter locations that have been reported but perhaps unfounded to the opportunist primarily, perhaps a person who may not normally like fireworks, lets them know that we're aware, people are aware, and it seems absolutely to work. And it also provides some assurance to the reporting party that their concern was addressed visually, as you can see. We continue with our bus posters as well. I want to touch on the radio ads where 245,000 views prompted. These are the impressions that you would see on your phone or an individual who perhaps is within our city limits. That results into 5,000 views a day. And that's just a constant reminder to folks who are using the internet, reminding them that this is illegal. And I think the results, as we'll get to the citations, is a result of that. The chart provides the overall firework reports submitted by the public. And week 1, we start our enforcement efforts on Memorial Day. started pretty slow, and we've seen that throughout the years. And not surprising, week 6 is the week heading towards 4th of July. And notably, a significant reduction, not only through the reports, but we also noticed the same thing through the Sheriff's Department as well, as they saw a reduction in service calls coming forward to dispatch. A timeline on our 4th of July program efforts. This year, of course, we wanted to be supportive to the city's fireworks event held at Silverado, so we supported that as well. We started early. Reconvened at 6 for a briefing amongst operations supported by fire prevention personnel, code compliance staff, police, and our animal services team. They were paired in twos for officer safety, of course, and we coordinated our response in assigned areas based on prior history from prior years and some of the reports that have come throughout this season. As we did last year, which was great success, we set up some technical staff here at City Hall to triage both calls that were coming from the Sheriff's Department and calls that were coming from Victorville Now to determine which ones were viable. And they did a great job. It really expedited the process of contact to make it very prompt, efficient. The case was created, and we identify who the property owner is should the tenant not be, cooperative. And it allowed the officer to go get in, address the citation, issue the citation, move out, and move on to the next call. Our fire department coordinated the management of any seized fireworks. We seized about 50 pounds on 4th of July. We also actually participated with a call that came through earlier in June from the Highway Patrol of a vehicle that they pulled over, a truck with over 100 pounds of fireworks. Those 2 individuals were taken into custody. That was a coordinated effort with the fire department as well. One thing to point out is mortar-style fireworks remain difficult to pinpoint. These don't really necessarily emit a spark. It's basically a bang, and so those continue to be a bit of a challenge to pinpoint. Overall, the results was a reduction in fireworks reports, as we saw. Our 6-week public awareness campaign reinforced our zero tolerance enforcement message, as indicated through the impressions. And I think in our prior years of enforcement, consistent, where the public is seen as in the field, really turned our words into action this year. Continuing with the 4th of July compliance efforts, again, it's the program this year consisted of 2 supervising officers, 9 code enforcement officers, 3 inspectors from our fire prevention division, 2 intake support staff, and 2 animal control officers. And it resulted in the issuance of 34 citations, again, 50 pounds confiscated just for 4th of July, and 142 calls through the Victorville Now app, 95 police calls, most of them forwarded over to us for handling. The chart before you really demonstrates the overall year-over-year issuance of fines. 2025, we probably were at the right place at the right time. One I can say is, but certainly a reduction in 2026, as noted. The map here kind of shows the locations as to where most of the citations were issued, most of them on the west side of the 15. And again, we start our planning efforts on the 4th of July based on prior locations. So most of our assets are located on the west side. These are the mortars, as you see pictured there. Those are the bang fireworks, but in the chart before you indicates the amount of fireworks confiscated for July 4th. And again, the 50 pounds that was stated in 2026 does not include the call that we got from the Highway Patrol. And I'll turn it over to our fire chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I think the biggest takeaway from the emergency side of this is 3 years ago compared to this year, there's a drastic difference in what we saw out on the fire department side. There were, as you guys know, 3 years ago was complete chaos, and I think the work that George's team has put into the efforts here is remarkable to say the least. At the fire department, if you look at, it's not depicted here, but our call volume was essentially the same last year to this year, but the amount of organization and lack of chaos throughout the city from the fire department's perspective was drastic. We increased staffing for the 3-day event. We had a water tender and a brush engine. And then on the 4th of July, we actually had our EMS manager and extra chief officers staffed as well. What was unique for us this year was the event at Silverado High School, which is a mass gathering, which created another challenge for us. But all in all, it went off pretty flawlessly from our perspective. So.
And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duran, for all you and your staff do. Thank you very much, Mr. Clemmer, for everything you guys do. At this time, we'll move on. Madam Clerk, will you present the agenda and any revisions there too?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one revision to the agenda this evening for agenda item number 26. We revised page number 7 of attachment B, engineering 5-year road CIP plan, to update the project location map. The map has been corrected to reflect the project limits from George Boulevard to Phantom West. No textual changes were made. This revision updates the image only. Thank you, Madam Mayor. That concludes the revisions to the agenda this evening.
Thank you very much. At this time, my fellow council members, do we have any conflict of interest? I do. I will be recusing myself from consent calendar item 12, as I live in close proximity to the sidewalk project on Village Drive. Okay. Introduction to public comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Victorville City Council. Your City Council is interested in your ideas and opinions, and furthermore endeavors to incorporate them into its deliberations. At the same time, the Council must be able to carry out its business in an organized and efficient manner, free from material disruption. Therefore, this meeting will be administered in accordance with the Council's established policies and procedures and Government Code Section 54957.9 and 54957.95. Individuals may speak on agenda items or on issues not posted on the agenda during the public comments section, provided those issues are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Individual speakers may address the Council once per public comment period and once per each public hearing item for up to 3 minutes. Additional time may be allotted for appeal hearings in accordance with the City's adopted policy and procedure manual. Those who desire to comment on a public hearing item may wish to reserve their remarks until that particular public hearing has been opened. All testimony is to be directed solely to the Council. Although open meeting laws do not permit Council members to engage in dialogue with any speaker during the public comment period, please know your comments and questions may be taken into consideration by Council members when discussing a particular agenda item. The presiding officer may briefly respond or have staff respond to statements or questions, or may request that the staff report back to the Council at a subsequent meeting. Speakers are requested to comment as briefly as the subject permits. Once comments are invited, the speaker will be called on by name, then recognized by the presiding officer. The speaker will state the item number that will be addressed or that the subject is a non-agendized matter. Audience members may not disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, and those who do are subject to removal from the meeting pursuant to Penal Code 403. Your understanding and cooperation are appreciated. Our first speaker is Nettie Taylor on a non-agendized item.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nettie Taylor. Madam Mayor and Council members, I'm here to report on the abandoned vehicles in the community. As I travel through my community, I can count about 4 to 5. I walk my dog constantly, and I do walk about 3 miles within my community, and abandoned vehicles are just stationed. So my concern is the community looks pretty bad. It brings down the property value. So I'm concerned as to what are we doing about it. There's a 3-day limit for parking, but do you have a policy for abandoned vehicles? It's my concern. So I know you can't answer me, but it's a concern. So, and it may be the same concern for others. I don't know. But at this point, that's what I see, and it looks really bad for the community. So, that's my concern, and that's about it for right now.
Ms. Taylor, if you could hold on a minute. Mr. Metzler?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Ms. Taylor, George Duran is here somewhere. He's our code enforcement official. There he is. He'll meet you in the back. We have a pretty large cleanup team assigned to all cleanup matters, illegal dumping, things of that nature. Vehicles certainly fit within that. There's a process. We also have an app where you can actually report it, and so long as we know about it, we can attend to it. But George, Mr. Duran, I'm sorry, can meet you in the back and give you more details.
Okay, thank you.
I do not have any additional speaker cards. However, we did receive one public comment via email that has been distributed to the council and posted to the website.
Okey dokey. Thank you very much. At this time, we will move on to our public hearing. Our first business of order is item 1, the amendment of Title 16 zoning ordinance of the Victorville Municipal Code with an environmental exception to update the city's accessory dwelling unit ADU and junior accessory dwelling unit J ADU standards for consistency with current California law. Mr. Metzler, would you like to introduce this item, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This item involves an amendment to your municipal code, particularly your zoning code, where this item is focused on making some language changes to deal with accessory dwelling units along with junior accessory dwelling units, all of which really are intended to help us keep up with the number of state laws that have been approved by the California legislature. And so with that, this item has been discussed at the Planning Commission level, and the Planning Commission on July 8th actually did hear this item and approved it 5-0. And because it's dealing with municipal code, which is a potential change to your legal framework, this item does require your consideration and ultimately approval if you want to change the law. And so with that, the item has been authored by Mr. Alex Haddigy. He does have a brief presentation for you as well to kind of bring a little bit more clarity as to some of what's being contemplated with the code changes.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. Madam Mayor, council members, this public hearing item is being presented this evening in order to align the city's accessory dwelling unit ordinance with recent state law updates. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of the types of ADUs or accessory dwelling units we typically see in Victorville, a history of the city's and state's actions regarding ADUs, the basis for the subject code amendment, and a synopsis of the proposed changes. Additionally, the City Council will have an opportunity to review some of the different types of ADUs we've seen developed here in the city of Victorville. As the City Council may recall, and as outlined in the city's municipal code, the main components of an ADU is noted on screen. And the definition of an ADU states that it is an attached or detached residential dwelling unit that provides complete independent living facilities for one or more persons and is located on a lot with an existing primary residence or constructed concurrently with the primary residence. It shall include permanent provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation on the same parcel as a single family or multifamily dwelling is or will be situated. Additionally, the municipal code defines a junior accessory dwelling unit or a JADU, with the JADU definition stating that it is a unit with no more than 500 square feet in size and contained entirely within an existing or proposed single family residence. A junior accessory dwelling unit may include separate sanitation facilities or may share sanitation facilities with the existing structure. Typically, the city encounters a few variations of ADUs and JADUs as authorized by state law. Of the state allowances, the most common types of ADUs and JADUs the city encounters include single-family residential detached developments, as you'll see on the screen. These are structures detached from the main dwelling and either developed as new construction or converted from existing spaces. This would include existing spaces such as garages, workshops, and so forth. These structures can be built up to 1,000 square feet in size and are allowed within 4 feet of the rear and side property lines. Additionally, we review single-family residential attached units. These structures are attached to the main dwelling and are either developed as a new construction, as an addition, or converted from existing space such as an attached garage. As is standard for all ADUs, these structures also can be built up to 1,000 square feet in size and are allowed within 4 feet of rear and side property lines. Additionally, we sometimes see combinations of ADUs and JADUs. In this example, you'll see a JADU within the interior of the existing dwelling unit, as well as an additional ADU. In this case, it's detached, but it can either be attached or detached to the primary dwelling. Additionally, state law allows additional combinations of ADUs and JADUs on residential property pursuant to Government Code Section 66323. This section of state law also addresses ADUs on multifamily residential dwellings that we'll discuss later in this presentation. To understand how we got here and the different actions the state and city took to address ADU allowances, first in 2016, the statewide ADU rules were enacted. Later in 2019, the city adopted ordinance number 2388 on March 19th, 2019. At this point, after 3 years of having the ADU rules enacted, the city's ordinance accounted for 5 different ADU bills that were effective at the time. At this time, in 2019, the ordinance included standards to regulate a single attached or detached ADU. And at that time, the city development standards relating to setbacks, building height, design were still enforceable, similar to any accessory dwelling unit or structure, similar to any accessory structure in the city. Additionally, when this was first implemented by the state, parking requirements were severely limited and could only be required when an ADU was over half a mile from any transit stop. And even at that, only 1 space was allowed to be required by the city. Subsequently, in 2023, the city updated the ADU ordinance. At this point, after that 4-year period, the city adopted ordinance number 2443 on September 5th, 2023. This responded at that time to 10 new bills since 2019 that had been enacted by the state. Per state law, that ordinance in 2023 introduced by right allowances for ADUs, allowed ADUs on mixed-use properties, and allowed at least 1 but up to 2 detached ADUs on multifamily properties. At this time, it also eliminated the standards requiring the replacement of converted garages. So at that point in time, per state law, if a garage was converted to an ADU, the city could not require that to be replaced with off-street parking. The state law removed any setback standards beyond 4 feet from rear and side property lines. It removed any property owner residency requirements, excepting for JADUs in limited circumstances. And one positive that the city could take from this is we were authorized to limit ADU sizes to 850 square feet for a studio and 1,000 square feet for 1 bedroom or more ADUs. Prior to that, ADUs were allowed up to 1,200 square feet throughout the city. Moving into current day and the purpose of this proposal is now responding in that last 3-year period to 12 new bills that have been enacted by the state to address ADUs and JADUs. So we're responding to what is being presented to us. Prior to the city's ADU ordinance in 2019 and the state requirements in 2016, the city of Victorville prohibited second units on single-family residential lots. However, upon the passage of various ADU and JADU bills, the state requires all cities now to allow ADUs regardless of density, occupancy, or parking concerns. Bless you. With that being said, the proposed amendment aims to do a few things. It complies with state law, given that the city's ADU and JADU standards were last updated in 2023, as noted. It will address a letter of technical assistance received from the California Department of Housing and Community Development, which requested a timeline to ensure compliance with the current ADU laws. It will implement the housing element of the general plan. Specifically, proposed program H.3 requires the city to update the zoning ordinance to comply with state housing laws, including ADUs. And as Mr. Metzler noted, it will move forward the Planning Commission's recommendation to adopt the proposed ADU ordinance amendment. While the proposed ordinance is intended solely to address the new state laws, the changes noted on this slide outline the main areas being updated. These include new references to state ADU law to replace specific references to California government code sections. They have all been updated in state law, so now this will be a clear update moving forward. It updates processing timelines of 15 days to determine an application complete or incomplete, and 60 days to approve an ADU application. There should not be any issue. Staff currently complies with those timelines. And it updates text and tables to enhance clarity and increase detached ADU roof height by 2 feet to a maximum of 18 feet. And this will allow greater architectural compatibility with existing structures when ADUs are constructed. Lastly, the revised allowances for multifamily ADUs were updated to allow for up to 8 detached ADUs, provided they don't exceed the total number of primary dwellings on a multifamily unit site. Before this municipal code amendment proposal and the state law that is requiring this, the maximum was up to 2 detached ADUs on a multifamily project site. And with that, the attached, or I'm sorry, on the screen before you is a few examples of ADUs built here in the city of Victorville. The top 2 photographs show garage conversions where existing space was converted to attached ADUs. The bottom 2 photographs depict detached ADUs where the units were constructed in rear yards of existing dwellings. And what I would point out here is that the architectural compatibility between the primary dwellings and the ADUs, these include matching roof materials, roof pitch, paint colors, design elements, and these types of objective design standards are only possible by adoption of the ADU ordinance that we currently have on the books. Without those, ADUs could be built and there would be no standards on what they look like or requirements that the city could enforce to make sure that they match the existing home. And with that, staff is available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hedige. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council open and conduct a public hearing to receive public testimony, close the public hearing, find the Victorville Municipal Code Amendment categorically exempt per CEQA Guidelines Section 15061B3, introduce ordinance number 2469 for adoption and first reading by title only to amend the Victorville Municipal Code, and waive further reading in full of proposed ordinance number 2469.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll move on to technical questions from council members. Councilmember Godin?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just for clarification, Mr. Hedige, if we have a single family residence, we have one main unit, and then they can build a attached ADU, and then they can also build a detached ADU if they have the space in the yard. Is that correct?
Thank you, Councilmember Godin. Yes, so under the allowance, there's 2 separate allowances of ADU law. So under the example shown, what we typically see, that would include a JADU attached. Typically, that would look something like a 3rd-car garage being converted to a JADU because those frequently are under 500 square feet, and then a detached full-size ADU up to 1,000 square feet. There are allowances under Government Code Section 66323 that I noted where there potentially could be more ADUs. Under Government Code Section 66323, state law states that a single-family development could provide JADU, an ADU entirely within the existing space of the home, and a detached ADU, so that would be 3. However, in those instances when they're utilizing the allowances by that government code section, the detached ADU is limited to 800 square feet in size. So what we've frequently seen when residents want to construct ADUs in the city, they typically want to get to that, especially for detached, they want to get to that 1,000 square foot size. Sometimes they want to go to 1,200, but our code limits that to 1,000. So generally speaking, most of the developments we've seen are limited to just a JADU and either attached or detached ADU. So frequently it's a single or two. We haven't had many instances where the allowances by Government Code 66323 are utilized.
And for our residences that have larger parcels of land, they do have an option where they could subdivide, build another residence, and then build additional ADUs, but they would be required to build a whole nother residence, right?
That is correct. Under Senate Bill 9, this council recently adopted a code amendment to implement Senate Bill 9 allowances for urban lot splits and second dwelling units. Under that separate law, that speaks directly to ADUs in a separate set of government code section. And it's our understanding that in that instance, they're still limited to 4 total units, whether that is on essentially the resulting 2 parcels could each have one ADU each. So the resulting overall 2 parcels, maximum 4 total amongst the both.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the clarification.
Councilwoman Mora?
I don't have any questions, but thank you for the presentation.
Councilwoman Irving?
I don't have any questions, and I too want to thank you for an informative presentation. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yeah, the 15-day to deem an application complete, is that less than it is to build a home? So if somebody were to submit a permit or request a permit to build a single-family dwelling, is to submit an application for an ADU, are we restricted on how long it takes us to approve?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Harriman. Typical single-family homes are not subject to the expedited, streamlined, if you will, requirements of an ADU. So while they are still subject to the Permit Streamlining Act and other acts by the state, the 15-day turnaround to deem it complete is generally not applicable to just a standard single-family home. Permit Streamlining Act typically speaks to 30 days.
Okay, and so the transformation of a garage, that's what I see the most of, into an ADU. The homeowner or the homeowner is subject to permit, so they comply with building code and all the other things that somebody building a single-family home would be subject to?
Yes, that is correct. The only difference is if ADU is being built and the original home does not have fire sprinklers, for instance, the ADU is not required to have fire sprinklers. However, if the original home, the primary dwelling, does have fire sprinklers, then that ADU is required to have fire sprinklers. So there's some small differences there, or allowances, I should say, that tie it back to the primary dwelling. Also with regards to utilities, the various bills and state regulations don't standardize that. So we as a city have typically allowed the development community and the builders to determine if they want to have new utility connections or if they want to utilize the primary home and have like a secondary meter to meter that on site as opposed to having a secondary full connection.
So a home on a septic system, I know most of us in Victorville are on the sewer, but so a home on a septic system, if somebody's going to build an ADU in their garage and include a bathroom, but their septic system is not, can't handle that volume, they are required to, what are they required to do? Put a different size septic tank in or another smaller one?
Either or. So in those instances where their septic tank isn't designed for the number of extra bedrooms that the ADU may account for, then they can either increase the size of the primary septic, or they could build a secondary septic system on site.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Hadigi, kudos on everything you know about these ADUs and the JADUs. I'm going to go piggyback with Mayor Pro Tem. The permits for an ADU, do they trigger diff and all that for the same, like if you were to build a new house?
Two answers to that question. The first part, yes, they do trigger diffs, but it's not at the same rate as a new home. State law says it has to be proportionate to the ADU, being that it's secondary to the primary. I believe the way that the building department is implemented that is to charge multifamily diff fees on the ADU because they're at a lower rate than a single family home. And that's in compliance with state law, which states that they have to be proportionate to the ADU.
And is there still a separate sewer connection to what used to be?
If they choose, if the developer chooses to have a separate sewer connection, they can, or they can tie into the existing sewer connection that's already on site.
Okay, all right.
Madam
That's-
Mayor, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is transforming the garage into an ADU, if it's over, is it 500 square feet, and they would be subject, are they still subject to school fees? Or is that out of our purview?
Thank you. Great question. So JADUs, there's a bill before now. JADUs are the less than 500, and I don't believe those are. I'd have to follow up to have surety on that. I do believe, though, that those are exempt from diff fees. However, if you have an attached ADU that's up to 1,000, then that is still charged the diff fees. So there is a bill going forward this year through the state. I'm not sure of its progress now, but that bill is seeking to only charge diffs on the square footage over 750 square feet of any ADU. So this would only be allowed to be charged on the square footage above 750 square feet, and anything below 750 square feet would not be charged.
And I asked that question, when I did my addition at my home, I did 535 additional square feet, and I had to pay almost $7,000.
Your time's up.
Yeah, the diff fees, there are limits that we're allowed by statutory regulations that we can implement those diff fees, and the goal line is moving to a little bit there.
Okay, thanks.
At this time, I will now open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor.
We will now close the public hearing. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of ordinance 2469?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Victorville approving amendment case number PLAN 26-00015, amendment to Title 16 zoning ordinance of the Victorville Municipal Code with an environmental exemption to update the city's accessory dwelling unit, ADU, and junior accessory dwelling unit, JADU standards citywide for consistency with current California law.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move to adopt staff recommendation as to points 3 through 5 as presented on the agenda.
Second.
I have a first by Councilwoman Godan, a second by Councilwoman Irving. Councilwoman Godan, comments on the pending motion?
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Quick one. I'm disappointed in the parking. I mean, you know, we got streets that are already packed with cars, and now you can transform your garage, and I'm kind of disappointed in that. I know that's state mandated for us. It's not our decision, but that's all I have.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godam?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve points 3 through 5 of staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. We will move on to the consent calendar, items 2 through 19. I'll invite a motion for this item.
Madam Mayor, I move that we adopt the consent calendar.
Second.
I have a first by Councilwoman Irving, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Harriman. Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godam?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes, but I will recuse myself from voting on consent calendar item 12.
Motion passes unanimously with Mayor Becerra recusing herself on item 12.
We've now taken action on items 2 through 21 in accordance with recommendation as sent forth on the agenda. We'll now move on to written communication. Item 20, Southern California easement on Mesa Street and Topaz Road. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This item involves a subdivision a tract of residential property, R1 property, that will ultimately accommodate the build-out of single-family residential homes generally located in the south and east area of 395 and Eucalyptus. And to help further this project along, there is a need for additional easement to satisfy the construction of the ultimate Edison distribution system, and typically the easements are achieved in public right-of-way. In this particular case, there's an additional amount of right-of-way necessary to host the transformer pads, and so with that, site within the LMAD has been identified as the location for that easement. So with that, given that the LMADs are city property, this item's coming before you to actually approve the grant to easement to accommodate the co-locating of Edison hardware within the LMAD of that tract. And so with that, the item has been authored by your city engineer, Mr. Freddie Bonilla, and he's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council grant exclusive utility easement to Southern California Edison on assessor's parcel numbers APNs 3136-45108, 3136-45111, and 3136-45112, as described in the attached documents, and authorize the city manager to execute the easement on the city's behalf.
Thank you. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
And I have none. I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move to adopt staff recommendation as it pertains to points 1 and 2.
Second.
I have a first by Mayor Protem Harriman, a second by Councilwoman Irving. Mayor Protem Harriman, comments on the pending motion?
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments.
Councilwoman Godin?
I have none.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 21, budget amendment and approval of an agreement with David Evans and Associates for the design of traffic signal on Ridgecrest Road and Bluffcrest Street and Vista Point Drive. Mr. Metzger, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. Resulting from a request by the County of San Bernardino in 2025, this council ultimately approved a co-op agreement with the county back in January 26, where that co-op agreement effectively served as the framework to establish the cost-sharing relationship for a proposed signal at Bluffcrest and Vista Point Drive, which intersects with Ridgecrest Drive in Victorville and in the County of San Bernardino. The center line is the jurisdictional divide between both cities. And so with that resulting from the January 26th co-op agreement approval by this council, we have since then actually worked towards the bidding and the retaining of a design firm, and then also coming up with an estimate for the total project cost. That way it's identified what shares are necessary from the county. The city will take the lead with this project, which means the design, the bid, and the ultimate letting of the contract for construction. This item is dealing with the phase where we're actually proposing the award of a design contract to David Evans and Associates for the cost of $94,392. This item also does make appropriations to your budget to reflect the revenue and the expense that's considered as a part of the co-op agreement and to be paid by the County of San Bernardino. And so with that, this item has been authored by your city engineer, Mr. Freddie Bonilla, and he's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council adopt Resolution Number 26-074 to amend the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget, appropriating additional revenues and expenditures of $695,264 from San Bernardino County. Approve a consultant professional services provider agreement with David Evans and Associates, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $94,392 for the design of a traffic signal at Ridgecrest Road at Bluff Crest Street and Vista Point Drive project, and authorize the city engineer to submit reimbursement claims to the San Bernardino County for the proportionate share of project costs incurred for the design and construction of the Ridgecrest Road at Bluff Crest Street and Vista Point Drive traffic signal project.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Irving?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Godin?
I have none.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume the cost, is due to the misalignment of the two streets is, okay.
Generally four-legged intersections are about that price. Is there anything abnormal in the estimates that you have, Freddie?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Metzer. No, we did not find anything unusual in the proposal submitted by David Evans and Associates. If you look at the total cost of the traffic signal being about 1.3 million and the design being under 100,000, that is proportionate to the design. It is going to be a complicated design because it is two T intersections that are offset, but we are very familiar with that, having that example at Nisqually and First in our city already.
Okay, I must have misspoke. That's what I was meaning, is the complexity of this intersection makes the cost as high as it is.
Yes, on the construction side, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Metzler, if I may? Mr. Padilla, are we giving David Evans and Associates a timeline for the design completion? I know it's in here, but
Our preliminary schedule is about a 6-month design period, so we hope to be in a position to advertise the project for construction sometime in the spring of next year.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move to adopt staff's recommendation for items 1 through 3.
Second?
I have a first by Councilwoman Irving, a second by Councilwoman Mora. Councilwoman Irving, comments on the pending motion?
No comments, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
No comments, thank you.
Councilwoman Godin?
I have none.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
I have none.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 22, award of general service provider agreement JRC 27-022 to LiveView Technology, Inc. for mobile security hardware and software technology services. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. You're probably aware that currently we do utilize and rely on mobile video surveillance technology throughout the city, particularly focusing on a number of facilities, whether they're well sites, our animal adoption center as an example. We've certainly used them also to try to identify illegal dumping out in the open deserts. And so with that, we've also relied on them to deter different forms of vandalism, illegal dumping, and even fireworks. And so currently we have available to us under contract 5 of these LTV units, as we call them. This item before you tonight approves a contract expanding the number of LTV cameras available to us to be 6 units, with the 6th unit having AI-capable camera system built in. And so with that, the author on this item is your code enforcement official, Mr. George Duran. He's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council award a general services provider agreement to LiveView Technologies, Inc. for the use of mobile security hardware systems and related software provided by LiveView Technologies, Inc. Authorize the city manager or city attorney to make non-substantive changes to the agreement.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Mayor Potem Harriman,
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving,
No questions.
Councilwoman Godin,
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora.
I have none, thank you.
I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move to adopt staff recommendation as presented in the agenda.
Second.
I have a first by Councilman Godin, a second by Mayor Potem Harriman. Councilman Godin, comments on the pending motion?
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Potem Harriman,
Yes, I'm looking forward to even adding more of these.
Councilwoman Irving,
No comments.
Councilwoman Mora.
No comments, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin.
Yes.
Councilmember Irving.
Yes.
Councilmember Mora.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman.
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 23, approval of agreements with two consultants for on-call right-of-way services. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. It's not uncommon for engineering staff as a course of its work when it comes to designing public improvement projects where there's a need for on-call engineering consulting services to assist with right-of-way related needs, including acquisition of right-of-way to accommodate the design of staff. And so with that, we did issue an RFQ back in May of this year, and resulting from that RFQ, we did get some respondents, two respondents, which are before you tonight. These are consulting contracts where they would be on call. They'd be for $50,000 each. That's not to guarantee that they get paid. They're effectively budget amounts available to us in the event that there's a need for the actual services. And so with that, the author on this item as well is Mr. Freddie Bonilla, your city engineer. He's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council approve a consultant professional services provider agreements with two qualified consultants, one Docket Engineering, Inc., and two Paragon Partners Consultants, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $50,000 per agreement for on-call right-of-way consulting services.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Mora,
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Godin,
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving,
No questions. Thank you.
Mayor Potem Harriman.
I have none.
I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move-
Motion.
Move to adopt staff recommendation as to points 1 through 5 as presented in the agenda.
Second.
I have a first by Councilwoman Godin, a second by Councilwoman Irving. Councilwoman Godin, comments on the pending motion.
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving,
No comments. Thank you.
Councilwoman Mora,
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Potem Harriman,
I have none.
and I have none. Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin.
Yes.
Councilmember Irving.
Yes.
Councilmember Mora.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman.
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 24, approval of memorandum of understanding with Southern California Association of Governments for La Paz Drive and Seneca Road Traffic Circle and budget amendment. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This item involves an MOU with SCAG, as we call it, the Southern California Association of Governments. And as you recall, back in early 2025, we were awarded money for a quick build safety enhancement project with the intent of taking monies that could be used to really encourage traffic safety related needs within our right-of-way. And so this project was awarded for the intersection of La Paz and Seneca with what was proposed to ultimately become a roundabout. And so with that, since that time, SCAG has actually engaged a firm to come up with the design. And so with that, this MOU memorializes the cost, the usage of the monies and the relationship between us in SCAG in terms of monies going towards paying for their design costs, and then the remaining being available for the ultimate quick build construction. And so with that, this item also has been authored by your city engineer, Mr. Freddie Bonilla. He's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council approve the Memorandum of Understanding number M-022-26 between the City of Victorville and Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, for implementation of the City of Victorville Sustainable Communities Program Active Transportation and Safety SCAP-ATS Quick Build Project, accept the SCAG Competitive Grant Award for the Quick Build Project, adopt resolution number 26-073 to amend the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget, appropriating an additional $503,700 in revenue and expenditures from the SCAG SCP-ATS, authorize the mayor, city attorney, city risk manager, and city clerk to execute the MOU and any non-substantive amendments thereto, subject to approval by the city attorney, and authorize the city engineer to execute the project and submit reimbursement claims for the work completed.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Irving?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I have none.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
Yeah, just real quick. So the roundabout is going to impede on a few properties. Is that correct?
My understanding is it's all going to be within our existing right-of-way, but Mr. Freddie Bonilla, can you?
That is correct, Mr. Metzler.
Okay. I'm looking at the diagram. Maybe it looks like it's going into the parking lot. Is that a church on the southwest corner?
No. So the diagram just shows where the project is
Okay.
going. It doesn't actually show the limits of the proposed roundabout.
Okay, all right, thank you. I was gonna say.
I'll invite a motion for, I'll invite a motion for this item.
I'll move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
But first by Mayor Protem Harriman, second by Councilwoman Irving. Mayor Protem Harriman, comments on the pending motion?
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
None, thank you.
Councilwoman Godin?
I have none.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 25, presentation on city pavement management of city roads. Mr. Metzler, would you introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. We do have a presentation for you, and this is a presentation that we do annually at this time, always in August. And we do it intentionally because the next item that you're dealing with is the Measure I 5-year capital improvement plan. But we do this presentation for you really to try to open up the black box, if you will, that helps us identify what roadways we should focus our limited amount of monies on throughout the city. And as you know, we've got a fairly robust, very large roadway system throughout the city, all dealing with different volumes of traffic and all experiencing different physical conditions and deteriorations. And so with that, especially as a public agency, we get comments always questioning, you need to fix this road or you need to fix that road. We certainly have a process that we have to go through regularly and routinely to balance not only the limited amount of money that we have, but also to get a true benefit cost benefit associated with the amount of monies that we have and the actual roads that we can pave, trying to get the most bang for the buck, if you will. And so with that, this presentation is intended to give you that high-level overview of what goes into the recommendations that we put in front of you as to which roads we're going to prioritize and which roads are not going to get prioritized. So with that, Mr. Bonilla will lead the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Metzler. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. As we have done since 2023, we prepared this presentation to update the council, the executive team, the public at large as to the current state of our roadway system throughout the city. So one of the tools that we use in analyzing is our pavement management report system, or PMR. We review all of our city roads. We use this to analyze the city's networks, prioritize our capital improvement projects, and use it to support our decision-making abilities, as Mr. Metzler indicated in his introduction. Essentially, we do a cost-to-benefit ratio to determine which street segments get prioritized and why they do so. We find cost-effective treatments to different roadway systems, and we try to maximize the benefit as well. Early, prevention, early maintenance leads to further deterioration, and so we try to get there as early as possible. And then, of course, manage our limited budget and see where we can get the maximum benefit for our limited funding. So this slide here shows the different zones in our pavement management report. Zone A is shown that area in the top left corner in red. Zone B is in blue. Zone C is in green. We are in year 4 of the 5-year cycle. So Zone C was just completed last year. Year 4 and year 5, we take off years, and then we come back in year 1 again, and we start the process with Zone A. This ensures that every road segment within the city gets analyzed into our pavement management report every 5 years as required by state and federal laws. So as we get further in the presentation, what you'll see is a lot of repeated data, and the reason for that is because we're in year 4 of our 5-year cycle. In other words, we don't have fresh data yet. We'll expect that when we start the cycle all over again. So this is a current overview of our road segment. We have over 479 center miles of roads. You can see there the lane miles of roads, the different classifications, and the total square footage citywide. And again, this data is available as of January of 2025 when Zone C was last updated. So the biggest takeaway from our pavement management report is the PCI ranking that we use to determine how our roadways are doing. As you can see, on the top right table there, the PCI ranking is very similar to what we're familiar with in grade school. Excellent roads, 86 to 100. I would point to our recently completed projects on Roy Rogers Road, Ridgecrest Road, as well as Bear Valley Road, to see what that sort of representative PCI looks like and some of the different damages that we see. So when our consultant goes out, they do a physical survey of every road segment within that zone, and we get that data, the length, the width of the pavement, the PCI ranking, and that helps us plan our future projects. So as I mentioned earlier, our consultant goes out, they review each road segment citywide, they look at the different stresses that are available on the pavement, they review our pavement management program to see what projects have been completed, and then we also look at the development data as far as what new tracks get developed. And as time goes on, as more and more of the city gets developed, you'll see that the total number of lane miles and the total square footage of area that we are maintaining citywide will continue to increase. And that curve that you see on your lower left-hand corner is where we want to stay at. Obviously, the faster we can get to a project, the better it is. So one of the things that we do in conjunction with our Public Works Department is we try to maintain our good roads. Maintenance starts with maintaining our good roads, because if you maintain them, then they stay in the good section longer. So you'll see that our slurry program will start being targeted, some of the projects that we reconstructed in the last decade, Village Drive, Industrial Silica. So this is where we've put a lot of money into our roads. We want to make sure that we stay on the top side of the curve. And the reason for that is once you get to the cliff and you fall off, there's no coming back. At that point now, we're spending significant amount of dollars doing reconstruction projects. So this slide shows our current roadway conditions citywide. You can see the different classifications there. I'm very proud to report that over 48% of our roads are in the good condition, and only 20% of our roads are in the poor condition. As we did last year, we also show the PCI trend from the past years. We looked at that graph a lot, and in 2020, we see a spike up. And, my educated guess is that in addition to the tracks that were developed, that were added post 2018, 2019, we also got new data, fresh data. That was when SONE was last done. And so you see that uptick. But generally speaking, our roadway systems, just due to fatigue and traffic and, the weather, cold nights and hot days, you see a PCI drop of about 2 points per year on every road system citywide. And so when you look at our average PCI trend, one of the things that we did this year with our PowerPoint is to show you visually what that looks like. So our average PCI ranking is about 65.7. We found you an example of a PCI of 65. This is Seneca Road. So you can see that the pavement is in relatively good condition, but there is some cracking, and this would be a prime candidate for a slurry seal type project. Moving on to our arterial streets. The average PCI is about 63. Again, we're still in good shape, and the reason for that is our arterial roads. Those are the examples like Amargosa, Topaz, Village Drive. They get significantly more traffic, and as a result, the benefit to the cost ratio increases, and you'll see that in a slide further down. Again, the example there is La Mesa Road with an average PCI of about 63 for our arterial road segments. The graph kind of goes up and down, and I expect that because in addition to degradation citywide, this is where we invest the bulk of our funding in our major roadways. This one shows the trend for our collector roads. This is the Dos Palmas, the Lunas of the world, of our city. And as you can see that the average PCI is a little bit lower than the arterials. And again, that is expected because our collector roadways carry lower traffic. Therefore, the benefit is lower. And so the bulk of the funding does end up with the Bear Valleys, the Mojaves, the Amargosas of our city. And then at the local level, this is your local road. This is where you would live. And as you can see, the PCI is doing what we expect it to do. Every year, it continues to drop a couple of points. We are still in relatively good shape when it comes to our local roads. But this is where, unfortunately, with the benefit just isn't there. And I'll give you that as an example. And on the local level, this is where we target our geographic areas. We've got a project out to bid to slurry seal some areas. This is where every year we budget about last year we budgeted $1.6 million for that. In this upcoming budget cycle, we budgeted an additional $1 million for next spring's project. This is where we target the local roads doing slurry seals, and we try to get there sooner rather than later to at least maintain them and keep them in operable shape. So this is our decision tree. This looks at the average PCI ranking, and this is what helps us determine what kind of projects. If you go back to that slide, when we're at the top of the curve, we're doing things like slurry sealing and micro surfacing. This allows us to get our maximum bang for our buck because the roads are in good shape, and therefore you don't have to do significant R&R, removal and replacement of existing asphalt. Once you get to the downside of that curve, at this point now we're doing reconstruction, and the best example I can give you that is the project we just had on Roy Rogers Drive, where we literally removed the entire pavement, the structural section, recompacted the subgrade, put in new structural base, and put in new asphalt. That is very costly, and we tried to avoid that as much as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of our city has been a hotspot of development, and our current city standards most of our segments, most of our arterial roads do not meet our current city standard because our city standard is relatively new, and some of our roadways were constructed prior to that standard being in effect. But the good news about that is the newer projects, the new tracks that are being currently developed, they are being built to that standard, so we expect them to last us significantly longer. So how do we prioritize a project? Mr. Metzer kind of gave you a preview of this on a cost to benefit ratio. This is a very unique formula to the city of Victorville. This was created by my predecessor, Mr. Gengler. Thank you, Brian. Obviously, the higher the benefit, the more attention it gets. And so the best example I could give you would be on a small little cul-de-sac where you've got 20 or 30 homes. The cost to do an R&R project there is not that expensive. You could probably do a small cul-de-sac for somewhere between 400,000 to 500,000. But it only benefits the 20 or 25 homeowners that are there. And so when you run that analysis, you get a benefit to cost ratio of about 0.1. It doesn't even get to a full digit. When you've got 45,000 vehicles going on Bear Valley Road, the benefit there is significantly higher. So even though a project that we completed in 2024 from Amethyst all the way to 395 cost a little under $8 million, the benefit was there because approximately over 40,000 vehicles are driving there daily. So here's that formula. The benefit is the increase, there's the traffic, the ADT, that's your average daily traffic. The increase in PCI, so, are we going from, a 20 to 100? The time that we expect that project to be in effect, so when we do a full reconstruction, we're expecting that to be in effect for a long time. The length of the project, and then divided by the cost. So the example that we have is a project that we're hoping to advertise the next couple of days, is Mojave Drive between Amargosa Road and I-15. When you look at, and these are all figures directly from our pavement management report. I would imagine that when we go out to bid, it's going to be significantly higher. But when you look at what is the length and the width, what is the current PCI, what is the average cost to reconstruct, you end up with a BC ratio of 13.6. Going back to my local road example, when it doesn't even get to 0.1, just the benefit isn't there, which is why we prioritize our arterial and collector roads first. So looking at the different projects that we've got, and you'll see this in the following item in the five-year Measure I capital plan, a roadway like Air Expressway from National Trails Highway to George Boulevard is gonna do well because it's got a high ADT count. So when you look at the cost, yes, the cost is very expensive. $5.5 million is a lot of money on one roadway system, but the benefit is there just because of the traffic, just because of the increase in PCI, the length that the reconstructed road will last us. And that ultimately is the planning tool that helps us plan our future projects. So, this exercise, this cash flow exercise that we do prior to submitting our budget for this fiscal year, we started this analysis back in February. Let's look at the PCI rankings, let's look at the traffic counts, and we update the traffic counts every year. So we're constantly shifting priorities. Yeah, and you'll see that some projects get put on the capital plan and then they may go from year 5 to year 4 and year 3, and then they'll get put back on year 4. And the reason for that is as we update our traffic counts, we're also updating the benefit to the cost ratio. And if the benefit is better elsewhere, that's where we typically budget for. So in this fiscal year, we've got 2 major projects planned. One is on Air Expressway. The other one is on Bear Valley Road from US 395 to Bellflower Road. Again, the major thoroughfares, because of the traffic, because of the increased the delta in the PCI, and as well as the length that we expect the additional roadway improvements to last, that is why they calc out well. So this gives you a formula, or this slide is meant to give you information on what our current budgeting as well as our needs are. And as you can see, we've got 3 sources of revenue. So Fund 220 is the gas tax that essentially funds our Public Works Department. That is our asphalt and concrete crews. So when we get concerns or comments or even requests on our Victorville Now app about a pothole here, somebody goes out and fills that. That is the O&M portion of our maintenance project. Fund 221 is our SB1 funding. This is strictly for capital projects, and we use that in conjunction with Measure I to plan our projects. So as you can see, we've got a total of about $15.1 million in this year's budget.
About half of that, a little bit over half of that is in the operations and maintenance side, which is a big component of what we do when we maintain our roads. And the other 7.3 is allocated for projects. As I mentioned earlier, the current program that we have with the available funding that we have, we're seeing a drop of about 2 points per year, and we expect that to continue moving forward. If we were to more than double that to about 16 million annually, we would see that deficit cut down in half to about 1 point every year. The more funding we put into our pavement preservation projects, the more streets we can attack and the better average that we'll get citywide. So in order for us to stay status quo, we would need approximately to triple our budget from about 7 million to about 20 million. And then once we get to about 22 million, we start seeing an increase citywide. So as part of that exercise, we take a look at the pavement management report, and we looked at if we had an unlimited budget and money was an issue, what would we do? And so we have, you can see the breakdown there between our arterial projects, our collector, and our local roads. Preservation projects are like the slurry seals and microsurfacing projects that I talked about earlier. Rehabilitation projects, those are your reconstruction, your grind and overlays that we typically do on arterial projects. And if you were to sum it all up, if we were to invest about $206 million, we could get to an average PCI of about 86, which would be my dream. I think everybody in the city would be happy with that. And again, this is just the average PCI dropping. As you can see, we've got that data point in 2020 because of new data and new tracks being developed. And obviously, newer tracks have new roads, so they're going to skew the data. But as they start to degrade, you can kind of see where that curve is going. I mentioned operations and maintenance. This is something that we started last year. I hear a lot, and this is something that I have with family and with friends. The city of Victorville does not maintain its roads. The city of Victorville does not maintain its roads. Well, I've got the data to prove that we do. So on one side, we have our traffic engineering maintenance efforts. This is the annual striping that we do. Our crews went on nighttime a couple of weeks ago. They've been out restriping our roads. And when you look at what we've accomplished in the last 5 years, 2,800 miles of striping, that is a lot of striping. Basically, every road gets restriped annually. When you look at the number of legends, the signs that we install, the signs that we replace, this is all routine maintenance. And I know signs may not necessarily be as sexy as new pavement areas like Roy Rogers and Ridgecrest Road, but they are necessary, and it is a big component of our operations and maintenance. Similarly, on the public works side, you can see our crews right there doing some concrete work, some crack sealing, some asphalt removal and replacement. Again, when I hear the city of Victorville does not maintain its roads, I shake in my boots because I know for a fact that we do. Again, just looking at the raw data there, the total number of potholes, the sidewalk R&R that we do, the curb and gutter replacement that we do. This is just a select sample of the data that we have, and we have spreadsheets among spreadsheets. But as you can see, to anyone who says that the city of Victorville does not maintain our roads, they just don't know the facts. They're just probably not informed the way I am, because I know emphatically that we do maintain them. Shout outs to Doug Matthews, Juan Robinson, and all of our public works staff who keeps our roads as well as they can be. The other part, obviously, is capital. And so when I look back, and I always do this every 5 years, we look back as to see how much we have invested in our roadways. And this is a 5-year count that we do. We've been averaging about $90 million the last couple of years that we've done this. Our total right now is about 88.9. I would imagine that increase is going to increase next year as we get some other projects, mostly in Mojave Drive, completed. But again, the proof is in the pudding. Again, when you look at the number of maintenance that we do on our roadways and the number of projects that we completed in the 5 years, the data speaks for itself. We do maintain our roads within the available funding that we have. So where do we go from here? As the council is aware, SBCTA is proposing a Measure I continuation in this ballot year in November. We're obviously in support of it. That's what helps fund some of our maintenance efforts and funds half of our capital projects. The Measure I revenue is steady. And what I mean by that is it grows every year, but it grows incrementally, 1, 2, 3 percentage points. When you look at the cost of the projects, they're increasing 10, 15, 20%. So what does that mean for my future outlook? Essentially, the bigger projects are going to be tougher to do. In the capital plan that you'll see in the next item, there is a significant amount of money being invested at Air Expressway. I wish I could have done that in one fiscal year. Unfortunately, I had to break it up into two different road segments in fiscal year 27 and a different segment in fiscal year 28. And the reason for that is just cash flow. We just can't afford to do the entire segment all at once. SB1 revenues are rising. That's good news for us because, again, this is strictly for capital projects. When we combine our Measure I dollars with our SB1 dollars, and that's what leads the vast majority of our reconstruction and rehabilitation projects. And I will end the bullet point and encourage this council to reconsider an additional revenue source for our projects. I think, we worked really hard on that sales tax revenue project earlier this year. And I have said this multiple times around this time, 3 years in a row now. We need to look to ourselves. Right now, our Measure I dollars come from SBCTA, our SB1 dollars and our gas tax come from the state. At the end of the day, we need to be self-sufficient. And if we were to be self-sufficient, it doesn't matter what the county does, it doesn't matter what the state does, we can rely on ourselves. With that, Mr. Metzler and I are happy to answer any questions that this council may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Freddie? Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
Staff recommends that the Honorable City Council receive and file this report.
Thank you. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Irving?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to say, Mr. Bonilla, your words resonate with me. I think self-sufficiency is important if we're going to remain resilient. So thank you very much.
Councilman Godin?
I have no questions, but I echo Councilman Irving's comments. Thank you, Mr. Bonilla, for a great presentation. Very, very informative. Thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have no questions either, but this was a very, very extensive, detailed report. I appreciate the calculation in here, just because I always wonder, like, how do we determine which ones get done first? And so you breaking it down and giving us the actual mathematical equation and laying it out really brings a lot of clarity to me. So thank you so much to you and your team for creating this report.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
I would just echo what everybody else has said. That's a great report, very informative. I almost feel like I should pass it around to some people who don't think we do anything.
Mr. Bonilla, what are we gonna do? Our Measure I money is dwindling also. Our gas tax money is dwindling because of our state going electric. But yet all these vehicles are still on our roadway. That train has left the station to try to get more money for our roadways. Do we have any type of plan that you could present? Not today, but you know what I mean? Anything?
Not at this time. I mean, obviously, we put a lot of effort into the revenue, the sales tax revenue exercise that we did earlier this year, and I would encourage this council to reconsider that in future years. Self-resiliency is important, and the data speaks for itself. If we continue to do what we do, our streets are going to get progressively worse, and it's tough to be up here, essentially asking the public to pay more. But the truth of the matter is, the more we invest in our roadway system, the easier every drive will be. I think we can all look at the recently completed projects at Roy Rogers, Ridgecrest, and Bear Valley Road and say, wow, what a difference. I mean, I drive Bear Valley Road at least 3-4 times a week, and I'm still amazed by how that improvement has held up. And I think moving forward, we obviously need to invest more in our roadways. That way we can have more of those examples citywide.
But as you said, Mr. Bonilla, our roadways were not made for the amount of traffic that's on them today. Majority of our roadways were made at minimum 25, 30 years ago. The neighborhood roads, as the neighborhoods were built, yes, are newer, but our major roadways are at least 25, 30 years old. This council has a lot to think about on how we're going to bring those roads up to par. So that I will tell you. Thank you very much for this presentation, sir. You don't need any kind of vote, right?
I would take a vote for the receive and file.
Okay. A motion for the item of receive and file?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Councilwoman Irving, comments on the pending motion?
I've made my comments. Thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I have none.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
I have none.
And I have none. Madam Clerk, will you take the vote?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, but I do have one clarification question. Were you seconding the item? Or, because I heard you say second, but then I heard Councilman. Okay,
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
thank you.
Motion passes. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 26, Measure I, 5-year capital improvement plan. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. As a procedural requirement through the administration of SBCTA, we're required annually to submit a 5-year capital improvement plan, and this is related to the proposed expenditures of Measure I monies received by the city of Victorville. And so with that, this item does contain a listing of those projects that make up the 5-year plan, and also propose the cash flow of those projects. And so with that, the author on this item is your city engineer, Mr. Freddie Bonilla. He's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council adopt resolution number 26-076, approving the Measure I 5-year capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2026, 2027 through 2030-2031.
Thank you. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Mayor Protem Harriman?
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving?
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I have none.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
I'll invite a motion for this item. Motion to adopt staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda.
Second. Oh, everybody.
First by Mayor Becerra and second by Mayor Protem Harriman. I have no comments on the pending motion. Mayor Protem Harriman, comments on the pending?
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments. Thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I did appreciate the breakdown of each of the projects, including maps, so thank you for the report. It's very well detailed.
Councilwoman Mora?
No further comments, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Protem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendations as presented on the agenda. Item 27, approval of a purchase of a Ford F-750 compacting rear loader trash truck from Rush Truck Centers of California. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The Environmental Division within your Public Works Department relies on, among other things, two compacting loader trucks to help us attend to illegal dumping and the cleanup of homeless encampments, among other things, out in the community. And so among those two compacting loader trucks, the oldest is a 2005, so 20 years old. And it's certainly gotten to the point where it's exceeding its useful life. It's spending a tremendous amount of time out of service due to maintenance needs, and it's certainly affecting the efficiency of the crews, especially when the volume of work peaks. And so with that, we've identified the need to buy a replacement vehicle. We have gone through the public bidding process. We had 3 respondents, and this item is recommending a low bid award. And so with that, the author on this item is your Director of Public Works and Water, Mr. Doug Matthews, and he's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable City Council approve the purchase of a Ford F-750 compacting 14 cubic yard rear loader trash truck for a total amount not to exceed $205,931.92 from Rush Truck Centers of California, Authorize the city manager to execute any and all documents necessary for the purchase.
Thank you very much. This time we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilwoman Mora?
Does this purchase price include a warranty?
It's a new vehicle, so yes, the particulars of which I believe Mr. Matthews can speak to or find in the staff report.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The warranty period on this is 5 years, 100,000 miles.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Councilor Godin?
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving?
Yes, I do have a question. It's my understanding, did you say that the vehicle that we have now, the truck that we use now is from 2005 was purchased?
It's a 2005 model, yes, so.
So the life of this new truck is about 20 years, is that correct?
Not ideally, but we'll run them as long as we can until, you know.
I hear you. I hear you. Roll with it till the wheels fall off. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yeah, it's not a diesel?
No, this one's unleaded, so there's just all kinds of
Is this-
factors on that as far as what California is
Yeah.
liking and not liking
Okay, so the
nowadays.
state.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, I haven't seen many F-750s that are gas. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Matthews, with the day and age that we are right now, we're still looking at 120 to 180 day delivery? They're going to stick to that?
Unfortunately, yes, times are just out there to get some of these equipment. We're even having problems with more regular pickup trucks just getting bids, you know, under 240 days out there. It's tough.
Oh, no, that's, to me, that's quick.
Oh, that's a good one?
Yeah,
All right.
that's a good, that's why I said in the day and age we are, they're going to stick by that they'll give it to us in 4 to 6 months?
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Okay. I'd like to see it when you get it, please. I'll invite a motion for this item.
I move to approve staff's recommendation.
Second.
I have a first by Mayor Pro Tem Harriman, a second by Councilman Godin. Mayor Pro Tem Harriman, comments on the pending motion?
I have none.
Councilman Godin?
None, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godin?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendations as presented on the agenda. Item 28, purchase of a stationary emergency generator for the Amethyst Booster Pump Station. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. We commonly operate and maintain critical infrastructure throughout the city, and a lot of that infrastructure certainly requires a reliable feed of electricity or power. And so with that, this item is particularly dealing with the purchase of a stationary generator to be located or placed at the Amethyst pump station, satisfying that well and pumping system for your water district. And so with that, this item has been authored as well by your Director of Public Works and Water, Mr. Doug Matthews, and he's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Honorable Board of Directors authorize the purchase of one Caterpillar stationary emergency generator from Quinn Power Systems in the amount of $930,271.30, utilizing Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract provisions.
Thank you, ma'am. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
I'm just shocked. $1 million for that thing. What are we gonna do with the one that's already at that station? Isn't there an existing one that is, or is it, this isn't a replacement?
This is a new one at this station. So it's a very, very active site with a well, some boosters. It's got a lot going on.
Is that the Amethyst?
Yes.
well?
Yes.
Okay, there's not an existing generator there.
No. Okay. Just double checking to make sure I'm right.
I did a concrete pad for a generator there like 20 years ago, so I guess it never got put in.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
Big booster station, we need it there for sure.
yeah, okay, all right, thanks.
Councilwoman Mora,
I have no questions, thank you.
Councilman Godan,
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving.
No questions, thank you.
Doug, I have a question. Back in the day, we used to have a limit to our, what was it, the RPMs? That we could only have so much equipment under, for the diesel and everything like that. Does that still comply now?
So, I mean, the regulations are constantly changing out there. As a matter of fact, when we brought the portable generators last month, we listed 4 stations that had stationary generators. Well, those became stationary because the portables weren't able to be used as portables anymore because of regulations. So, but we were able to make them stationary generators at critical sites. So we make use of them the best we can and stay out of trouble.
Okay, so we're still below our, okay.
Yeah, we're
All right.
good.
I just wanted to make sure because we have other stations and I'm sure are gonna need one. Thank you, sir, I appreciate it. I'll invite a motion for this item.
Move to adopt staff recommendation as presented in the agenda.
Second.
I have a first by Councilman Godan, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Harriman. Councilman Godan, comments on the pending motion?
I have none.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
I have none.
Councilwoman Irving?
No comments, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godan?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yes.
Mayor Becerra?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 29, standard sublease agreement for buildings 787, 788 by and between the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority and Exquadrum LLC. Mr. Metzler, would you kindly introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. This item involves the lease of facility space owned by the Airport Authority and the general location of the northwest corner of Perimeter Road and Phantom. And this is just south of the existing power plant. It's the bunker facilities, or a couple of the bunker facilities there. And so with that, as you know, Exquadrum is a valued growing tenant out at the airport, and certainly they've continued to find need for additional space. And in this particular case, they have a need for storage type space for the handling, assembly, mixing, and controlled processing of rocket motors and related components. And so with that, we've identified these 2 facilities that we don't have any immediate use for. And so with that, this item does convey to Exquadrum, if approved by this council, via lease, those 2 facilities for a period of 15 years with 2 renewable options of 5 years apiece. And so with that, the item has been authored by your airport director, Mr. James Morosky, and he's available for any questions or comments you might have.
Thank you very much, sir. Madam Clerk, would you please read the recommendation?
That the Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, SCLAA Board of Directors approve entering into a standard sublease agreement for buildings 787 and 788 by and between the SCLAA and Exquadrum LLC, and authorize the Executive Director to execute said agreement, and adopt resolution number SCLAA 26-005, amending the 2026-2027 budget, increasing revenue in airport account 4501172A-45200 by $61,938.48, and airport account 4500125-45220 by $40,045.56.
Thank you very much, ma'am. At this time, we'll do technical questions from council members. Councilman Godan.
I have none, thank you.
Councilwoman Irving.
No questions, thank you.
Councilwoman Mora.
No questions, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman.
I've had my questions answered.
Mr. Metzler, we're now renting everything that stands still, correct? It seems like.
We're renting anything that we can outfit and make usable. The demand is pretty high right
I was just gonna say, what does that put us 99.9% rented out? Okay. To you and your staff, Mr. Metzler, great job. Great job, Mr. Renoski out there. I mean, it's, like I said, you guys are, okay, you want this corner, we'll put a fence around it, it's yours. Congratulations, you and your staff. I'll invite a motion for this item.
I move to approve staff recommendation as it pertains to points 1, 2, 3.
Second.
I have a first by Mayor Pro Tem Harriman, a second by Councilman Irving. Mayor Pro Tem Harriman, comments on the pending motion?
I would just say it's time to build.
Councilman Irving?
No comments, thank you.
Councilman Godin?
I have none, thank you.
Councilman Mora?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none. Madam Clerk, will you take the vote, please?
Yes.
Councilmember Irving,
Yes.
Councilmember Mora,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman,
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We've now taken action to approve staff's recommendation as presented on the agenda. Item 30, City Managers Reports. Mr. Metzler, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the council, have a few items. First, wanted to talk about my favorite day of the year for Public Works, which is the July Free Dump Day. At that event this year, we served 495 vehicles. I was one of them. And we collected nearly 108 tons of material, with about 1/3 of it diverted from the landfill. So just another amazing, successful event, not only for our team, but for the community. On the economic development side, we have Route 66 themed We're Open signs, and they're being distributed to Old Town businesses ahead of the centennial celebration. Just another way to promote their businesses in Old Town. Better Buzz Coffee opened today, located at the former Arby's location in the Home Depot parking lot on Bear Valley Road. On the code compliance side, as a part of ongoing Old Town revitalization efforts, code compliance has begun facade improvements at 4 commercial properties on 7th Street between B and D streets. The CDBG funded improvements include window repairs, exterior painting, security lighting, and replacement of boarded windows with polycarbonate panels. On the engineering side of the house, pedestrian flashing beacons and ADA improvements were completed at 9 locations, primarily near schools, to enhance pedestrian accessibility and safety. And then some of the upcoming events that we have, the Kiwanis Dream Big 5K is coming up. That's August 22nd at 8 a.m. at Victor Valley College. An animal adoption event is going to be held also on that same day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. For National Dog Month with support from Y102. And then, of course, we're all excited about Route 66 Centennial Car Show and Block Party. That'll be September 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Old Town. And then I do have the projects of interest. I'll forward that separately so you can take a look and track your favorite projects throughout the city and seeing where they're at in the development phase. With that, Madam Mayor, that's all I have.
So we're not going to adopt our forever friend anymore? Yeah, what happened there?
Forever.
Yeah, forever friend anymore? Item 31, discussion and possible action regarding upcoming agenda items. Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
I'd like to have a conversation on red light cameras.
Very vague. Andre?
How would I?
If you want to have a conversation, yeah.
Is it, red light cameras as opposed to the other kinds of surveillance cameras?
Yes.
Just red light cameras? Yeah, if the council wants to do that, that's fine without having further discussion.
Okay.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Is it a conversation or do you want a report?
I would just like a presentation and kind of like educate us. It's something I've been thinking about.
Presentation?
Yeah, well,
Excuse me? He needs a second or it dies. I'll second. Do you have a timeline that, they can't?
whatever, it doesn't have to be at the next meeting.
I would at least give them 60 days. They gotta do all kinds of stuff.
That's fine, whatever staff, as long as staff needs.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second it. Madam Clerk, can we take the vote, please?
Councilmember Godam,
Yes.
Councilmember Irving,
Yes.
Councilmember Mora,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harriman,
Yes.
Mayor Becerra.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Anything else, Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
That's all I have.
Councilman Godam?
I have nothing.
Councilman Mora?
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Irving?
I don't have a request, thank you.
And I have none. Reports from council members. Councilman Mora?
I have nothing, thank you.
Councilman Godam?
Just that I enjoyed attending the National Night Out. I thought it was a good turnout and enjoyed connecting with some of our community vendors and different things. So it was a good success.
Councilwoman Irving?
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Harriman?
Yeah, I would like to, also, the National Night Out was a good one. I thought having it at that park was good. I think a lot of the people in the city don't know that park is there because doesn't have frontage on a main street. And, the park was looking great, so I enjoyed the event.
Thank you. I just have to staff and in the employees out there from all the divisions, from Public Works, Parks, Water Conservation, Fire Department, Planning, Engineering, Freddie, you and your guys, thank you very much. HR, sorry guys, HR and PIO. Thank you very much for everything you guys do out there. We understand some days it's harder than other. I understand that. I thank you for the work you put. I thank you for the love and the care you have for this city. It shows. So thank you very much. Keep your chin up sometimes when we're getting kicked. But we're doing the best we can. We're doing a good job. Thank you very much, everybody. At this time, the time is 8 p.m. and this meeting's adjourned.